All right. So, hey, everyone. It's good to see you here. Happy holidays for those of you celebrating holidays. And, just happy day if you're just having a great day, because you're going to have an even greater day in a moment. I'm Carol J. Dunlop, the online wild strategist. And my very special guest today is Michele Feltes. And we are talking about the release of her brand new book, Legitimizing the New Hustle, creating people first workplaces. I'm going to bring Michele on in just a second. She's going to tell you about herself, why she wrote this book, why this book could be one of the most important reads of this time, of right now, because what she's writing about, what she wrote about, what the book is about, is exactly what we're dealing with in the US, maybe even in the world. I don't know. So without any further ado, let me bring Michele on. Hey, good morning, Michele. How are you?
I'm great. It's good to see you.
Yeah, we talk a lot in our travels and all the things that we've been doing with this book. We've been working on this book for a while, and I'm so glad to have you on so that you can tell everyone about this amazing project that's here. So I'm going to bring you up on screen, and I want you to tell everyone, about you and why you wrote this book.
Well, I'm Michele Feltes, and I live in Waterloo, Iowa. And Waterloo, Iowa in 2018 was by Wall Street 24/7. It was noted to be the worst place in America for those Black and brown individuals and families. And we started a nonprofit, and we were in the midst of starting it. The research that I had done indicated we were number 5 back in 2015 as far as the worst place. And I didn't realize it till I really got into the research on the issues related to incarceration in our city. And then I realized there were so many, not just folks that are justice impacted. And I say justice impacted because it doesn't just impact the individual. It impacts each family. It impacts the community. It devastates us. And I realized we needed some change. And so I went back to college, started studying our city, and realized that we needed to really do some work here. My husband was a pastor at the time, and we thought we were going to start a youth program. And we actually did start a 6-year privately funded youth program as a prevention for kids, because they were living in neighborhoods where there were trap houses and gangs. And we wanted to embed ourselves in the neighborhood. And I live in downtown Waterloo, and that's what we did. And so we worked with kids. And then through that, we realized there were so many families that were not able to work because people wouldn't hire them. We had one grad had 80 interviews, and people wouldn't hire him. And he was in my research before we even started our nonprofit. So he ended up graduating the program in the early days and got a job right away. And he's in the book. His name's Lance in the book. And I have changed the names of all our grads just to protect them. But we started this nonprofit because we were seeing stigmas. We were seeing stigmas related to mental health, reentry, and recovery, those recovering from addictions, and people couldn't get jobs. And then we realized we can change that because we had a program that we could change the way people think. But we had to change first. So legitimizing the new hustle was because we had to change. And our training ground was in the church that we served, because we were serving people. We could help. We could spiritually work with folks, but we couldn't help them any other way. And we felt so helpless, so very helpless.
Well, I have to say, the book when I first was introduced to the project, I didn't exactly know what it was about, but from you and I talking, I've been through this with family members, incarceration and mental health issues and substance abuse and all of that. So I had I guess, a training ground on it. I knew the background and I know how much it was needed. And so when I got into reading the book, I couldn't even edit the thing or do anything with it until I actually finished reading it because it was so intriguing. The stories of the people you have in there, even though you change their names, just their situation, your heart goes out to them. Even the story about you and your husband changing your mindset because, y'all grew up in a place where you weren't really exposed to different shades of people, I'll say, different types of people. And you had to kind of re-examine yourselves and how you came out on the other side instead of being bitter and prejudiced and all that against people. You said, well, I want to help these people. And then even down to the fact when you were like, hey, I'm just the white church lady. What can I do? And people were saying, well, what is this white church lady doing here helping us? And now you and your husband have grown this into this big organization and this engine that is set to help so many people. And then the book showcases how you went from changing my mindset to we can really help to this is crazy to, oh, I'm crying for the success of my people and how much they've done. So what inspired you to actually do the book?
The people, because what I found early on, we did in 2018, 17, 18, we jumped in on they call it the Big 10 event. And it's in the book, the year's correct in the book, but it's called the Big 10 event, and it's with our local people's clinic. And we did a survey, and we surveyed the patients, and then we surveyed the service providers, because it's a space where all the service providers come, and then people know what opportunities what services are out there for them, and they all come together in one space. And so what we did was we surveyed both, and what we found out was there were things that people wanted. They wanted opportunities. They wanted to go to school. They want careers. They want transportation, but they couldn't get any of those things. And so we realized, we can take that on, but we can't be a church because we want all people to have opportunities. And so our church actually closed during the pandemic, but we had already launched One City United, which is the legal name of our nonprofit is One City United. Lots of people refer us as One City, but I think it's pretty awesome that it's united, because it's true. Yeah. That's what we've done, because we need everyone to feel served. And so we served everyone. That's what happened. It's extremely diverse. And it's about equal men and women that come through the Momentum program that we started. But what fuels my fire is to see people reach their goals. So we really focus on the dimensions of wellness, and then they do their SMART goals around that. And when we see people, I call it when hope meets opportunity. And we've been doing this work for 4 years now, and we've had 21 terms. But what fuels my fire is when I see people succeed in what success means to them. We don't determine that for them. We give them the opportunity to find out what success is for them, and then we just connect. I'm a relational router. That's what
a relational router. I like that.
and a nonprofit leader, really brilliant man in South Minneapolis said that to me one time. He said, "You're a relational router." And I'm like, yeah, I guess that is what I am. I really like connecting people, but it's connecting them to opportunities. And so in the book, we have 4 amazing employers that wanted to tell their stories of how they've needed to change in this time of so much culture change. And so we have 4 amazing employers in the book that tell their stories, and they've all hired our grads, and they see what happens when you give people opportunity.
Right. That was one of the things that was very heartwarming, kind of surprising, and like, made you kind of think about things, that these big companies who hire thousands of people would actually say, yes, this is what we need to do. We figured out what we were doing wasn't quite right, so we wanted to change it. And then they came into the book and wrote their stories about how they became diverse, how they addressed it, even some of the mishaps that went through, and they were like, oh, we thought we were doing everything we could. And then it just went crazy. And then they're like, wait a minute, we had to step back a minute and go forward. I think that really gives us hope in the big corporations, because now you see how the big corporations aren't doing that, and how people are, looking down on others or not giving them the chance. But these 4 stepped up. And I think that they are paving the way for others to do the same thing, because all you need is 1 or 2 to do the right thing. And then others will say, oh, it wasn't that bad, I could do it too.
And it's the due diligence that people that have backgrounds or that have had things happen in their lives that they can't even, they didn't have any control of. Right. It's the due diligence that they have to do some due diligence with the companies, but they're willing to do it, because when in our classes, what we teach is hope, change, opportunity. So, instilling hope in people when, in the first part, and then really connecting them to resources. I call it socioeconomics.
I like that.
It is. It's socioeconomics. It's really bringing, and I believe I learned that from that nonprofit leader in South Minneapolis, and brilliant man. And it was about the socioeconomics. We can change our neighborhoods, we can change our community, but we have to embed in them, and we have to raise leaders from within. And that's what I believe is happening. But the nonprofit leaders, they're educating. We have an employer, Western Homes. They're educating their own staff. So they have their own programs. They have their own training center, and they've had to expand in healthcare due to that. But we have seen some great things come from that organization. Unity Point Health, they are just amazing employers with great benefits and very much people first. They want to really pour into their staff. And then K Park Industries, it's industries, but it's also K Park Recreation. They're up in Janesville, Iowa, and they're a small, not small, they're not small, but they're a local community, a local company that really focuses on people first. I mean, their culture is so different from most companies. They don't even have an attendance policy because people show up. They love their work. They love their work. They just have to get their hours in, but they love their work, but they take care of their people. You take care of your people, and you can be a larger company and take care of your people. But it's hard for companies to realize that they also need to, when they want to change, they need to assist the people that have been in the old culture for such a long time in that change. And that's where Dean and I, we really love to work with companies to look at things differently. And then we, in the book, is our early adopters. And we were talking to that company, that business early on, because they're our bank. And we were telling them, this is what we're seeing in the community. And then Dean ended up being on a focus group with other nonprofits to share what the needs they were seeing in the community. And man, Community Bank and Trust in Waterloo really stepped up. And they're also in Cedar Falls, Iowa. And they've really stepped up, and their culture has, we've watched it progress. And I say progress because this is out of the box thinking that companies are doing and realizing they just need to put people first.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, I don't know what the exact stat is. You might know of how many people in the United States right now are incarcerated that are part of our population. Let's say, I don't know, it's 30%. Is it that high?
I think the last number that I saw is 25%, but that's been a while ago. I haven't looked at that number. It's frustrating to me, and I'm really involved in reform issues, but I really believe the education is what changes that. And I know the prisons are looking at some reform, but really and it says it in the book, it talks about it in the book, is when I started researching the issues related to incarceration, I had to look at both sides. I had to look at both sides. I had to look at the people who weren't getting the jobs and look at the prisons and what they were doing. And Tim Duesberg's in the book. He's an awesome man. He started some work in the prisons that he wanted to see happen, because he wanted to see people come out and be reformed. He wanted to see them get great jobs. And so when I went to research, I said, Tim, if we only had what you have inside out here, and that our state and our community invests in that will change. And I'm seeing that those things come to pass. They're starting to happen, but we really need more investment in community-based organizations versus just community colleges, because the trickle down of the money doesn't happen in the community-based really. And we do not just us. There's other great organizations, like shout out to One Cedar Valley in Waterloo and in this area. They're doing great work. And if it weren't for them really taking us into the fold, we may not have gotten as far as we are now. And they're doing excellent work as well. But we all need funding, right? And
of course,
it's always the money. But we're at a point in our organization that we have to duplicate what we're doing, because we can't serve everyone. And but the bank, back to the bank, the bank saw the change in culture, and and it wasn't even a change. It was just being human and serving your city, serving your community, and changing the way business is done. So many banks have jumped on board, and credit unions that have jumped on board with us to really empower people with understanding what they need, because you can't blame somebody for not knowing something.
Exactly. That made me think about the little moniker that we have in the book. People can change, or all things can change. And we have the white church lady, and we kind of, I guess, highlight those places where people can change. There are quotes from you, things that happen, and all it takes sometimes is a little bitty spark for someone to do something, or to be shown, I can do this thing. So I love watching that. I love seeing that.
So, yes, absolutely. People can change, but that's why I think employers are really wanting to hire our folks, is because they've been through this intense boot camp that we put them through. It's an emotional boot camp. I didn't realize how much our city needed to heal. We have a lot of healing to do in our city, and it's great to see people never want to go back to a lifestyle that they once had.
So my name is Sandin. I have had issues in the past. A lot of my barriers would be when it came to my own personal health. That's something that was preventing me from finding employment, gainful employment. I struggled a lot with being able to be places. Being able to go to school was a big one. It was It just sort of threw a wrench into things, and I never really recovered from that. I was sort of lost. That really contributed to my mental health just dropping. My family wasn't one that was really accepting of mental health issues. They never looked at depression as being a real thing. I felt like I was stuck in my living situation for such a long time, stuck with people who didn't understand me. I felt like I was trapped in a box. My outlook for the future was really bleak. It was really sad. But finding momentum was amazing.
With the 6-week program that I took with Momentum, it allowed me to gain knowledge of a lot of things that were available to me that without the program I would have never known. I was homeless and I didn't own a car, didn't have a job. I was in prison for such a long time, and being there at such a young age, nothing like that gets taught to you. You just do your time and you get out. When going through the program, these volunteers come, one of them being a bank. With the information that they provided, it allowed me to gain my first bank account in my lifetime, and I was able to actually get on the right track. They put the right knowledge at the right time in my hands. They equipped me with so much stuff that even if I were to go through struggles, everything that they taught me how to work my way out of it. They know that life happens. This equips you, this program equips you with the right things in order to overcome struggles.
But I also don't want people to think that those with criminal backgrounds are the only people that the book's about. The power of our program is you can have somebody that's been in prison 14 years and has a 14-year-old and they just got out, be in class with somebody that is a single mom that has childcare and transportation as her barrier and is raising 5 kids. And the perceptions, the perspectives, and the prejudices that are overcome and that happen in our classroom, it's beautiful because it really mimics work. It mirrors work. So that's what we do. You know, the barriers of the folks that we serve are childcare, transportation, housing, homelessness, seeing a huge increase in homelessness right now. And we have success stories of folks that are doing amazing things in the book.
What has Momentum done for my life? Well, first of all, Momentum has built my self-esteem more than anything. That was my biggest barrier. I was poverty-stricken, generational poverty. All my life, I've worked jobs like $10 an hour. After coming here, I realized my value. And so I started searching out jobs in the same field with better pay because my confidence. I went from making $10 an hour to making $20.50 an hour. After Momentum, I started working on my credit, my finances, and many different things in my life that I didn't usually value. To be a better inspiration for my kids and a better role model, and it'll change my children's outcome too, because now they see their mom in a different light now.
Childcare, transportation, housing, homelessness, criminal background, those in recovery, they have to be in recovery when they come into our program or they don't make it through. And ageism, generational poverty, and all the barriers.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I want to show everyone our video about the book. Tells you a little bit more about the book. You can see the link on the bottom where you can go purchase the book right now. And when we come back, Michele, I want to talk a little bit about what happens when somebody relapses and how your program can help. So stick with us. We'll be right back. All right. Every time I hear that, I just want to just, it's a real catchy tune. Okay. So before the break, we were talking about what happens when people relapse, because we know that even with the best intentions, I've been, had to deal with this myself. Even with the best intentions, we give them all the tools, everything. Sometimes it's, and they relapse and stuff happens. How do y'all deal with that in your program, and how do you address that in the book?
Well, in our program, in our program about 2 years in, we started to see a couple relapses, and people lost their jobs, of course, and we realized we needed to journey along with people. We needed to continue that journey, so we started peer support, and so people stay connected. We started. When they jump into our program early on, we get them connected with people who've graduated from term 1, term 2, all the way. Last night they had peer group, and there were 7 terms of,
Wow.
When I say terms, that's classes. We do 5 a year. We're going to be doing 10 a year shortly. And yeah, because we need to increase it. But that peer support is powerful. The peers watch out for each other too in the workplace. And more of a problem I see than anything with our grads is what's happening in some of the workplaces. And we have ways to help the workplaces with that as well, because they have staff that haven't had the education that our grads have had that are employed. And so now I'm seeing, I mean, our grads, they're moving on. They're moving forward. They're getting degrees in counseling. They're becoming peer support specialists. They're becoming going to be parole officers, probation officers. So they're getting degrees, but not all of them. We want people to enjoy the work that they do, because when you enjoy the work you do, you're not really working, you're living your passion, right?
Exactly.
So, passion and purpose. So we connect people with their purpose. But anyway.
That's good. I just love, you're right about the passion and the purpose, because I see it all over your face. I see it. I hear it every time we talk. I see it when we get on Zooms together and we're talking about the book and how different things have made you go, wow, this just happened, Carol, or wow, this is one of the things that are going on. So it's great to hear. It's great to see, because you and your husband and your organization, the people that are around you, all the people in the book, the past graduates, the people who are going through the stuff, y'all are making this engine that has to be recognized.
It was learning that I am employable, regardless of my past history, regardless of the mistakes or bad choices I've made in my past, I'm still an employable person who can offer a lot of good to employers.
When I first came to Momentum, I was in the work release center. I've been in prison 3 times in 3 different states, and I'm 50. So it's over for me. Okay, that's the mindset I had. When I came, I got a lot of self-awareness about who I am, and they showed me that, I still have time. I like the ladies here too. They was very supportive with me. Just kept me inspired, showed me, to keep my passion about what's going on, and good energy. There's good energy on.
I think I gained a sense of resources and development as a professional. It gives you the stability to execute at a higher level.
It's like no longer a little secret. As a matter of fact, when we uploaded the book to Amazon, before we even put anything out or even started talking about it, the book went to bestseller. I think that's amazing. That's only the second time I've had that in my clients. We didn't do anything, and it went to bestseller. And I told you, I was like, this is going to be a bestseller because this is needed. It's necessary. And I'm so happy that it did that. And right now, y'all can help us because we're trying to get to number 1. So go to People First Workplaces, look at all the awesomeness that's there, and buy the book so we can get the bestseller. Right, Michele?
Absolutely. And help us help you. If you're a company that wants to change and you're feeling you're struggling because you can't get staff, call us, because that's huge. I mean, of course, people are in other cities, other countries, we can't staff, but we can give you some amazing ideas
Right.
of what you can do in your company. But companies are changing and they are succeeding, and they're just, I think we're going to come into a season where it's, you know, it's really important that we put people first. And I don't take that excuse that people say, oh, people just don't want to work. That's not true. That is so not true. The people that we work with, they want to work. And so companies can't use that excuse with us. I just think there needs to be some changes in culture. And
I think that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. The culture needs to change. The mindset needs to change on both sides. Because if you've been incarcerated or suffering mental health issues or just some other barrier to success, you know, you might think, oh, I'll never get this done, or oh, I'll never get a good job. And then that may lead you down a different road. Because I've seen if y'all read the stories in the book, you'll find yourself in one or more of those stories at one or more times in your life. I promise you, you will. Just something so simple. You're like, wow, that could have been me, you know, but it's not. But now you have the opportunity to help others. Number one, by getting us to bestseller, by getting the book. And then number two, putting a company, organization, or people in touch with Michele and her husband and allowing them to help, because y'all do workshops, right? Don't y'all help other people, other companies and stuff? So, you know, it doesn't matter where you are. They can come to you or you can come to them or whatever, because I see this just blowing up. And this is exactly the kind of stuff that we need right now, because, you know, y'all are caring people and we need more caring people.
Well, and I believe the companies, they want to care. They want, I mean, they want to move from always being risk managers where they lose people all the time to being resource managers, because it's kind of, our culture did a flip. And it's really important that they understand how. They just don't know how they can do it. And we know how, and we've seen it. And so
you wrote the book about it, and you wrote the book about it, but how to do it. I mean, what else do you need, right?
I think there'll be another book, because now we have grads who want to impact justice involved youth and head them off. So I think there'll be a book too eventually. But yeah, it's really about getting rid of those stigmas around mental health, recovery, and reentry, and helping people just move forward and excel and advance in their employment. Once you've got them, you're going to know the skills that they have, and understanding that people have skills, assets, and abilities and cannot be defined by their past.
I love that. I think that's a great note to end on. I love that. Thank you, first of all, Michele, for writing the book. Thank you for choosing me to help you bring this book to the public, to people. And thank you for the stuff that you and your husband and your organization are doing, because like I said, it's necessary, it's needed. And I think you just probably opened a big old Pandora's box of goodness that we're just going to let explode everywhere, right?
Thank you so much, Carol.
I see so much for you. Now, y'all that are listening, that are watching, go and get this book right now. Help Michele get to number one, because that's your assignment. Get this book to number one. Thanks so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thanks.